And here we go. And thank you everyone for joining us this morning. It is February the 8th, and I have a very, very special guest who is going to tell us all about herself. First of all, this is Sandra Alexei. I'm from Game Changer, and my personal muse is a self-discovery book, and everything is about knowing yourself, and you're creating your own life. Okay. You can look to the bottom, and if you would comment on this, I would really appreciate it, because I'm giving a free reading at the end of every month, and comments are really important because then we know where everybody is. People will question it. Everything's going to be here, the hashtag, so you can contact Lani yourself. Okay. If you would comment, if you would share, if you would subscribe, I would really appreciate it. And if you look underneath in the show me, my website, my personal muse is there, because I do spiritual and business coaching. And so you can contact and look at the website. Now, enough about me. This is all about you. And it's about Lani sharing her story and her message. Welcome, Lani.
Thank you so much, Sandra. Thank you very much for having me and letting me talk about what I've got going on right now, because I'm very excited and very passionate about some projects that I have going on right now. But to start off, I'll give you a little bit of a background.
Right.
I'm currently a courage coach. But how did I become a courage coach? I have a background as a stunt woman in TV and film for the past 20 years. So basically what that means is that I was falling down for a living for 20 years. And in the process of falling down for a living, you develop a unique set of skills of learning how to get back up. And I'm not just talking about physically falling down. I'm talking about putting yourself out there in all ways, like as a performer, putting yourself out there, public speaking, opening yourself up to criticism and judgment and ridicule and all of these things. So there's a considerable number of fears that I've had to overcome and face in the process of developing my stunt career. So, in addition to that, about 4 years ago, I was asked to write a chapter in a book called Shine, True Stories of Choosing Success Over Adversity. So I have my own process of overcoming fears and choosing success over adversity that I've really been working on in the last couple of years. And it's an accumulation of all of the skills and all of the tools that I have developed my entire life. I did come from a childhood of adversity, and I wrote about that story in my book, Shine. And that was key in me developing those skills and tools that I talk about. Actually, I have another book that's just coming out. It's called My Lionheart Activation Journal. And it is also a 30-day challenge for journaling and developing all of these skills and tools that are needed to develop an abundant and a brave mindset. So helping people overcome their fears is something that I've been very passionate about for the past 4 years. I've been a courage coach, and that has involved a number of workshops and seminars, and I had a kids camp. I did 6 kids camps in collaboration with Rope Runner. So we would sit there and talk about fears, the nature of our fears, and how to feel and process them and learn from them. And then we would go up on the Rope Runner, which is a 50-foot or a 60-foot obstacle park. And the kids would have a chance to face their fears and have a lot of fun doing it. So those were the courage camps for kids that I had last summer. So I guess where I'm courage coaching now, because I'm no longer a stunt woman. Well, I'm no longer a stunt woman during this pandemic. Because at the beginning of the pandemic, because I deal with fear a lot and I'm very familiar with the nature of fear, I'm very familiar with the nature of fear mongering, which is when people are trying to make you afraid of something, and they're trying to do that for the purpose of control. So right at the very beginning of this whole entire pandemic, I was very cautious, conscious, and aware of the fact that the media was lying about everything, and they were exaggerating numbers, and they were definitely fear mongering, and that fear was building in society and even in my local community. And I was just unwilling to go along with it. I'm a courage coach. I encourage people. I teach them how to be brave and how to believe in themselves. And so none of this fear mongering was working on me. And when the film industry shut down, I was given an opportunity to just focus on the things that I'm really passionate about. And I started focusing even more on my courage coaching business and the message that I was trying to share with the world. So in the process of doing that, with the state of the world right now, what I can see from my perspective in the last year is that everybody's living in fear. Yes, but why? They're living in fear because they lack information, and they are being mind controlled and programmed by the mainstream media, and they're completely unaware of it. Like if you were to tell somebody you're being programmed or brainwashed, their immediate reaction would be to deny that, because that's an insult to them, to assume that they are not fully in control of their own free will and their own influence and decision-making process, which they aren't. We all aren't. We have all been programmed and brainwashed and mind controlled since the day that we were born. And the way that they do this is through TV and radio and the newspaper and celebrities and movies. And I was a part of the film industry for 20 years, and I knew that there was like a lot of propaganda and a lot of mind control in there, but I wasn't fully aware of it. And I wasn't fully aware of the nature of Hollywood. I am more aware of it now. And since the film industry has opened back up here in British Columbia, it probably opened back up last August or September, I have decided that I don't want to play along with this whole pandemic program, that whole entire narrative, because I don't actually believe that there ever has been a pandemic in British Columbia or Canada or the world.
Right.
I think it's all been propagated and it's all been fear-mongered. And all of these restrictions and regulations that have been imposed on the entire country, they're all unlawful. They're under the guise of a national emergency, and there, from my perspective, is no national emergency. There is no increase in death rate from this year to the past 2-3 years. It is not abnormal. And I mean, I could get into all of the facts and all of the figures. And the fact of the matter is that depending on where you're going for your information,
Right.
You're not easily going to be convinced by facts. What I think is really going to have an effect on people and empower people is giving them information from an alternate news source that is just more informing them of the big picture of what's going on right now. And from the big picture of what's going on right now, this is actually a battle between the light and the dark forces on the planet.
Right.
Yeah, so this whole entire pandemic is just a tool that the dark forces are using to impose all of their restrictions and control. So when you can see that from that perspective, you can recognize that the fear-mongering, the agenda, it all has a nefarious purpose and plan. And what I started doing with my courage coaching is just helping to inform people and empower people with stories of other people who have been brave and courageous across the country and Canada. And see, I think the reason that people are just obeying and complying and just doing what they're told is because they don't know their rights. They don't know that they have options. They don't know what else to do. They don't know that they can stand up to the policeman. They don't know that they can stand up to the government. They don't know how to refuse a mask mandate, or how to respond in a travel restriction situation. They don't know how to. We've never been through this before. So what I started doing was finding people across the country who have been through something like this before, and who are taking action, and who are doing something. And why are they so brave? And why are they different from everybody else across the country that's living in fear? So I started collecting all of these stories of people who are being brave. And then asking them not only like what they've done, but what gave them that mindset. How did they develop the mindset that gave them the confidence and the courage to take action and stand up and fight against tyranny and corruption? So this is what my current project is all about right now. My current project that I'm working on, it's a book project called The Brave: Courage During COVID in Canada. And it is, initially I thought it was going to be 20 stories, but it's probably going to be a lot more, because there's a lot of really brave people across the nation that are taking action, and they're fighting for our freedom and our future. And I applaud, and I am so grateful for every one of those people. But what I really want to know is, first of all, what are they doing, and why are they so brave? Like, how can I teach other people to be brave by using them as an example? And this is why I'm compiling the book. And the purpose of the book is to empower people with not only information and knowledge, but inspiration of true stories of people, everyday people, and doctors and lawyers and politicians and business owners and chiropractic doctors, people from all walks of life across the country that are taking action. Maybe they've lost their job, or they've lost their business. I've lost my entire 20-year career. I've lost because I'm not complying with these unlawful regulations. So how do I stand up, and how do I use my voice, and how do I speak out when there is so much censorship out there? There is so much unlawful regulation and restrictions that are preventing us from even gathering and talking about this fake pandemic. So these are all the stories that I really wanted to compile and pull together. So some of the people that I'm following across the country, they not only have experience with unlawful regulation and abduction and these sorts of things and legal challenges, but they are currently taking action, and they're being very, very vocal about it. But it's not, the people who aren't taking action aren't listening to them. So
Right,
the people
right.
who, exactly. So because it's like we've got two sides of the fence right now: the people who believe in the pandemic and the people who don't believe in the pandemic. The people who don't believe in the pandemic are the ones that are taking action and standing up. The people who do believe in the pandemic are the ones living in fear. They're obeying and they're complying. So those are the people. That's my audience over there. That's my audience that I want to try and reach and have an impact. So some of the stories that I'm sharing are from, like, Susan Stanfield. She's an amazing freedom activist for health and justice across Canada. And she's recently been censored for 30 days on Facebook. But she does have a website, and she sells t-shirts. This is my t-shirt. It's called Civilized Disobedience, but she's got a couple dozen different t-shirts that support her cause. I definitely recommend that people follow and watch her because she is taking action. She is speaking out, and she is a fountain of knowledge when it comes to the legal options that we have, and our rights, and how to stand up for our rights. So definitely Susan Stanfield. Also, Action for Canada is run by Tanya Gaw. And these are all people that I'm going to have in my book. Tanya Gaw founded Action for Canada, and it's a website with all of the information of how we can take action, what our Charter of Rights and Freedoms are. By the way, did you know that we're not taught about our Charter of Rights and Freedom in school? And I'm wondering why that is.
Because they want to control. They do not. I was a teacher for 20 years in a high school. They do not want you to do that. They want to indoctrinate. They've been indoctrinating for a lot of years.
That's right. And that's exactly why she's sharing this information on her website. I want to share this information. I want people to know what their rights are, and what their that they do have options, and they don't have to obey and comply with tyranny. And okay, so that's Tanya Gaw. And then Misty Wind is in Calgary, and she is also an activist, and she is making big waves. She started a campaign against the quarantining at the airport, and her actions have actually made a very big impact, and they're no longer going to be medically abducting people at the airport anymore because of her actions, right? So she's going to do a chapter in my book as well. And I want to know, like, what inspired you to take that kind of action? And how can we encourage the rest of the country to stand up in the same way, right? Randy Hillier is, yes, he's a lawyer, he's an MP.
I think so. He just put out a petition that I signed.
That's right.
Everyone, brilliant man.
Yes, absolutely. He's making big waves. I would love to get a hold of him for my book. Kevin J. Johnson is the mayor-elect of Calgary. He's going to be possibly the next mayor, and he is making big waves as well. He's taking like really big action in serving legal papers to all of the people who are complying with unlawful regulation, and just serving everybody papers that is a part of this, that are participating in these crimes against humanity.
That's what I believe it is.
Yeah.
All of it, crimes against humanity. And as far as I'm concerned, the federal government and every provincial government, Lani, should be charged.
Right. You know what the Nuremberg Code is? The Nuremberg Code of 1947. It's a code that was developed after the Holocaust, after the war.
Right.
And it was put in place to make sure that no government entity would ever be allowed to conduct any sort of a medical experimentation or any kind of procedure on anyone in the country without their written consent and knowledge, full knowledge of what was being done. So all of these mask mandates, even the social distancing and the quarantining, it's like a big experiment. It's a big medical experiment that they are imposing on us and saying that we must do them, especially the vaccines. Like I don't vax at all, and I've never believed in them. And I know a lot of people are afraid to say that they're anti-vax, but I am 100% anti-vax. I believe in our immune system, and I believe in the function of our body, and I don't believe in vaccines at all. But yeah, so every one of these regulations that are put in place right now is actually not only a crime against humanity, but it's a violation of the Nuremberg Code of 1947. And yeah, so all of the people who are imposing all of these draconian rules and regulations, like from the top of government, from Trudeau and Tam and Bonnie Henry and all of them, right, they are all going to be tried for crimes against humanity.
Right. And that's exactly what I want. And the reason this is is such a powerful time. Okay, now we are at the tipping point because we've moved into the Aquarian energy, and it is now about freedom. It is about our sovereignty, and it is, where does this fear come from? Okay, where is the indoctrination? And that's the power. And that's, Lani, one of the reasons that I wanted to make sure that your voice, for whatever little audience I have, is important. And like Lisa, I think I put you in touch with Lisa. Her and I drove down to Sylvan Lake, and we're interviewing different people that have had to say, I am opening, do what you want. I don't care, because I have to take care of myself. And for me, I can remember I've actually cut off relationships with people that I knew for 50 years. Somebody said to me, you're too old. You need to stay at home. You are a threat going out. You just need to stay in the house. Excuse me, I am fine. I have got energy. I'm helpful. I've had a near death. I have no fear. The only
You are a bright, shining star. Absolutely.
and people that have said to me, and because I didn't have a mask on, and the other day I'm going to do a write-up about the health food store in Sylvan Lake. She has a sign, mask or not. And if you don't like it, stay out. If you don't want to come in with unmasked people. It's about our freedom. This is the whole thing. Aquarian energy is freedom. So we're just moving into, we are free to be who we are. And you are a career coach. And all of your background has given you this spirit to help people connect with their free spirit. If they can connect with the divine and their spirit, they're not going to be living, I say we're living under house arrest. And it's funny because I had somebody on Facebook, they said, because I have my own political views, okay? It's just like, you're not going to be telling me what to do. And for somebody to say that they love our government and respect our government because of what they've done.
It's just brainwashing.
Well, this man said, I live with one woman that says that. And I went, well, that's your choice to live with her. He goes, I said, no, she knows better. I mean, all you have to do is look at our budgets, the irresponsibility, whatever. I mean, get your head out of the sand, get the rose-colored glasses off. But I think somebody said to me, because a lot of people, not a lot, but somebody will say, like, you focus on the negative. No. I focus on what's real. A lot of people don't want to see the darkness and the depth and the evil and whatever. And you know, it's really funny when you talk about movies, okay, do you know what movies I love, but I think that they still have an indoctrination. I like Nemo, or like Pocahontas, or Free Spirit. I like kind of the animal movies. The other movies that they have, like anarchy, and they're on a different planet and they're fighting in that, it hurts my spirit. I can't watch it. They're metal and they're dark and like Hunger Games or that kind of thing. And so you were seeing that in
I mean, there's a lot of like predictive programming and a lot of like propaganda and just the what's the word, the inception, the implanting ideas in your head of something that might come in the future. But, you know, I think you're completely right about like the Age of Aquarius, and what's happening is that all of these lower vibrations. So first of all, courage is not the absence of fear, it's the mastery of fear. So what's happening right now is all of these lower vibrations are rising to the surface of our collective reality and experience. And the reason that they're doing that is because this is where we get to process them and we get to heal from them, and then we get to put them away. So what the mask represents slavery. It represents the end of free speech. It represents silencing an entire civilization or society. And when I see somebody wearing a mask, I know it has absolutely nothing to do with the virus. In their mind, they might think it does, but for the people who are imposing these masks, that this is their way of shutting up an entire nation.
Yeah.
censoring an entire nation. It has nothing to do with the transmission of any virus. And by the way, there is no virus. It is the flu. This is exactly why the flu has disappeared this year, because COVID took the place of the flu. And the only people who are dying are the people who would have died from the flu anyway, because they're not taking care of their immune system and their own proper health. So, and that's another thing, like, I'm not responsible for anybody else's health. If I was responsible for anybody else's health, I would march right into their house and open up their fridge and open up all their cupboards and take out all of the garbage and the alcohol and the cigarettes and everything that had toxins in it. If I was responsible for their health, then I would be monitoring everything that they put into their body. But I'm not responsible for their health. I'm responsible for my health.
Well, and I think that's it. Where does the responsibility lie? It's the
Right.
thing about the codependency. And a big thing I find is we've moved from the Piscean. That's basically what Game Changer was about. It's like it's an Aquarian relationship book where we are responsible for who we are. It's not like in the 60s, this new moon that's just coming up, okay, is a new moon in Aquarius, okay, so new attentions. But it goes back to 1962 when it was seeded, when it was like Woodstock and the hippie. And it's like, let's, no, this is a mature. So it's not that somebody's going to take care of you and you can sit around and smoke weed and make love and that type of thing. This is about, I have truth now. I have wisdom. The Aquarian is the higher octave because it is ruled by Uranus. And it's, oh my God, I have a gift. What is my gift? And I need to find that gift, my purpose, and it's not like work. Then I get to share it. I am now self-sufficient, self-responsible, okay, and resilient. And I have this passion. It doesn't matter if I'm 40 years old or 80 years old. Like somebody told me the other day, you're a little bit too much out there. You need to kind of wind down. It's like, what? Who are you to tell me what I need to do? Okay.
That's just a projection of their own insecurities.
That's right. And so this is a beautiful time, and I'm so excited, and I want to make sure that the hashtags, we have everybody and these people that you have mentioned. And anytime you want to come on, like if you want to come on maybe once a month or whatever, just to kind of, because you have such a beautiful, powerful wisdom. It's like it's like a goddess, because I call it the goddess activist, the goddess warriors type of thing.
Well, you know where that wisdom comes from? Wisdom comes from experience and knowledge. Like experience and knowledge equals wisdom, right? And the wisdom comes from facing your fears. So every single solitary time you face any one of your fears, you're learning so much about that experience. You're learning so much about who you are and how you show up in the world. So wisdom comes from doing all of the uncomfortable things that you're being challenged to do in your life. And most of the time, your greatest fear in life is where your greatest lesson lies in life. So right now, the entire planet is collectively facing their greatest fear right now. Supposedly, their greatest fear is death. So for a lot of us who have already faced death, yes. I mean, I was a stunt woman for 20 years. I probably faced death more than a dozen times where I almost died. But I've also had a lot of death, like a lot of people in my life pass away on me. So I'm very, actually, when my mother passed away when I was 11 years old, or 10 years old, that's when I started questioning everything. And what I always say is when you start asking questions out into the ether, out into the universe, you start saying, where did my mom go? Why did she leave? What happens when we die? How come I can still feel her? Like, why? I started developing my connection with my mother through the veil from another dimension. And all of these answers started coming back to me. Once you learn how to listen to the universe, and this is your clair senses, right? Your clair senses, your clairaudience, your clairvoyance, your clairsentience, claircognizant. I have been very claircognizant for most of my life. And I didn't even know it. I didn't even know that I was claircognizant until I spoke with a medium a couple of years ago. And after our session, she said to me, Lani, you know, you're very claircognizant. And I said, well, what's that?
Yeah.
And she said, you just know things.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh yeah, I knew that.
That's
and this is why I don't need all of the facts and the statistics and the figures. I don't need all of that to know the things that I know. I know the things that I know because I have a connection to my own higher self and my own intuition and my own guidance, my own spiritual guidance. And I trust and I believe in that. And when you trust and believe in your own intuition and higher guidance, then that will tell you who in the world you can trust and believe in.
Guess what? That is exactly what the Aquarian energy is asking. So, lady, Miss Goddess, you are at a perfect time to be able to teach this. We can't look out there anymore. And I'm like you, I didn't have an easy life. I had a near-death experience, but at 2 years old, I can remember, I can see it right now, being in the room and looking around and thinking, wow, this is going to be a tough one. Okay. It was just a knowing. And then it's always been a knowing. And after near death and having to walk my own path and being in the valleys and being up on the mountaintop and being in the valleys and never questioning it. Okay. Right. Being there saying, what am I to learn and what I'm to do? And when you talk about because I was born with the veil too, right? When you talk about seeing through it, is somebody asked me a few years ago, you always say, I know. And I didn't even know it. And then I went, actually, it's a gal from BC. I was at a show there and I was walking around and she goes, she said, come over. So I went over and she goes, you're very claircognizant. And I go, well, what is that? And she goes, he is say, I know all the time. And when I say I know, it's just like you, is we know. And it's just to have that trust.
Yeah.
That's what.
You know, I really do believe, Sandra, I really do believe that, especially within this year, for a lot of people, it's been happening over the last couple of decades, but especially within this year, people have really been stepping into their own divine purpose and their own path and their own knowingness. Like my entire life, I've had a very interesting and adventurous life. For like more than 4 decades. And everything along my life has led me along this path without me knowing it to arrive exactly where I am today and to be doing exactly what I am doing right now with the knowledge that I have accumulated along the way. So, I mean, to find myself at this day and age as a courage coach in the middle of a pandemic and to teach people how to be brave and then to be figuring out the best process of doing that. And that's what this book is about. And I mean, I feel like I'm in not only my passion, but my purpose. And everything that is happening for a reason. And I can see the big picture, like zooming out, I can see all of the amazing things that are coming down the road. So like what I always say is that in order to get to the golden age of humanity, we have to expose all of the corrupt and evil lower vibrations. We have to bring them to the surface. We have to process them. We have to heal collectively from that trauma. And then we have to let it go, throw it over the shoulder and walk away and just move straight forward into our future of the Age of Aquarius and the golden age of humanity, the fifth dimension and a higher dimensional reality of unity and peace, prosperity and love, and all of these things. This is where we're heading. But first, we have to get rid of all of the lower, evil, corrupt vibrations because they no longer have a place on this planet anymore.
No, and they are evil. They are very evil. They're very satanic. And people say you don't want to concentrate. It's not concentrating. It's going to be, they're going to be revealed. It's like,
Right.
in order to clean my cupboards out, I need to open the door and take everything out and wash it. And that's
Exactly.
happening collectively, but it's also happening personally. So
Right.
if we look at the collective and say it's greedy, it's corrupt, it's whatever, because that started in 2007 when Jupiter went, or when Pluto went into Capricorn and says, we're going to deconstruct everything because of the corruption and greed. It's
That's
also, we have to look at our own corruption and greed. And
I
we
know. And this is the
know,
hard part for people because of the mind control and the brainwashing, the
right,
MK Ultra, all of that. Because of that, they can't see how incredibly evil and corrupt Hollywood is. And they idolize all of these movie stars and these billionaires, and they look up at them thinking, oh my God, I wish I was like that. But that is all satanic. That is all evil. All of the elite people in the world, if they have any influence over the masses, they are corrupt and they are deep state, for sure. I mean, the deep state would never allow someone to have more than 1 million followers on Instagram without being in control of their every move and their influence on society. So in order for someone to achieve that level of success and influencers, they have to be dark. And so, I mean, Hollywood was built on greed and lust and sex and corruption, manipulation, deception. Acting is a deception. You're always being somebody else, right? You're always trying to, well, you're trying to tell a story as an artist, but there is so much corruption in Hollywood. And I'm not saying that there's no place for film and television in the future. There absolutely is, but there is no more place for the corruption of Hollywood. And like with the Harvey Weinsteins and all of the Jeffrey Epsteins and all of these pedophiles and satanic ritual and all of that, all Hollywood has to completely come down, along with big banks, big pharma, the hospitals, like the entire indoctrination, the entire system, the pharmaceutical system, this
educational.
cancer machine that they created, all of that is going to go. So what I always like to leave people by telling them about the good things coming down the road, because I do not fear monger. I will expose the corruption and evil, but I would much rather encourage people and give them hope and something to look forward to. And when you give them something to look forward to, they start to visualize and have this picture in their head. And that is the whole entire process of manifestation, looking forward to something and then creating that vision in your head. So in the future, in the not very distant future, I'm talking a year or two, we're going to have an entirely new financial system, the quantum financial system. We're going to have med beds, the celestial chambers and the tachyon chambers. We're going to have peace on earth. We already have it. I mean, Trump never started a war. We are currently not in, well, we are in World War III with China.
Yeah, it's a different
yeah, but once we get past that, there's not going to be any more wars on the planet. There's not going to be any more satanic pedophilia. There's not going to be any more pedophilia. And like all of these corrupt systems are just crumbling down. And what is going to be left in the aftermath is something just incredible and beautiful. And so like the golden age of humanity is like paradise. It is like health and prosperity. Everybody's going to be abundant. No more mortgages, no more debt, right? And everybody is going to be able to do what they're passionate about, express themselves artistically. They're going to be able to dance and make love and play. And like, this is the utopia that we've been promised in over 30 different cultures and religions around the world have prophesied this age of humanity that is upon us right now. So with that in mind, this is the most incredible time to be alive, to see what's happening on the planet. This is the Great Awakening, and we are witnessing the elevation of our consciousness on the planet and our frequency and vibration into a higher dimension of reality. There are really good things coming, really, really good things coming. And I say this all the time. All we have to do is get rid of all the gook, the corruption, and the evil, and we are going to have fertile ground to build a new society. And this is all happening within the next couple of years.
Oh, yeah. And that is one of the reasons, to me, it's always been about self-discovery. If I go back in Greek time, okay, to the Oracle of Delphi, what are the two words? Know thyself, and to thyself be true. Okay, so you can't be indoctrinated if you know yourself. Okay, and that's why this, for me, and I've written other books, was so important, is to really discover yourself and to embrace yourself. And when we talk astrology, I can look at where are the nodes. So the South Node is the shadow side, and the gifts and everything I've been brought in from in the incarnations. And my North Node is, where am I supposed to go? And why do people not go there? Well, I'm comfortable. The next thing is, I'm going to jump up there and I'm going to let this go. It's like, how about integrating? And when I think of integrating, and this is kind of how I want to end mine, is it's about the 8. As above, so below. So if I can bring my spirituality and my consciousness and the divine down and work it through in my physicality to be able to share the gifts, every one of us have gifts to share with society, and not to be codependent, not to be an energy vampire, but we are our own manifestors, we're our own creators. It's just like learning to walk as a baby. You know, that's the codependency. I got to take care of somebody. No, let me show them how to walk so that they can stand tall and walk. And that's the whole thing. So it's very inspirational. So if you want to tell everybody, we'll put in the hashtags, but what you have to offer right now, like if you're doing some coaching, personal coaches, when your book is going to be out, or if you have that activity journal they can order, or what's happening?
I am not doing personal coaching at the moment. I just don't have the time, because this book project is, I'm very passionate about it, but it's taking a lot of my time just to compile and coordinate and produce. And then after this book project, this is brave. Okay, this book is called The Brave, Courage During COVID in Canada, but it's volume 1.
Okay.
So volume 2 is going to be The Brave, Courage to Save the Children. And it's going to be all about the child sex trafficking and pedophilia. So it's going to be exposing all of that and bringing a lot of awareness. And this is uncomfortable, right? You just got shivers. This is uncomfortable to talk about, but this is why it needs to be talked about, because it needs to be processed. It needs to be acknowledged, processed, exposed, acknowledged, processed, and then healed from.
Right. Yeah. No,
so this is exactly the purpose of my second book, The Brave, Volume 2. Okay. Volume 3 is, I'm not going to talk about that now too much, but it's going to be called The Courage to Walk Away. And some people might know what that's all about, but I'm not going to talk about it too much right now, because that's a couple of months down the road. All 3 of these books I would like to have completed within the year, this year, 2021. So those are the projects that I'm working on right now. I guess what I would ask is that if people resonate with my message and what I'm doing and what I'm talking about, can you please follow me on Instagram? It is Phoenix, F-E-N-I-X, Fall Girl, F-A-L-L-G-I-R-L. So that's my Instagram, Phoenix Fall Girl. And then I'm also on Facebook as well. And then I am on Telegram under, I think, Lani Gelera. And I am on Signal, I guess, under Lani Gelera as well. I'm not really used to those platforms very much. But the thing is, when we start to bring up these kind of energies, these kind of brave energies, we always need to empower other people, right? But we also need by supporting me, or by supporting other freedom fighters or other people who are bringing up these brave, courageous energies, by supporting them, by following them, by resonating with their information, by sharing their information, that's how you support them. So if people could support me by following me and resonating with me and sharing my information, that gives me more energy and power to empower other people as well.
I
So,
love, yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, I don't need anybody to buy anything right now from me, except for my book when it comes out. And I'll probably promote that in a couple months from now. It's going to be out on May 1st. But right now, I just need some support, because as everybody knows, there is, well, there's a war going on right now between the dark and the light. And at some point, everybody's going to have to choose a side. You can no longer just be compliant and obedient and just do what you're told and think that it's not going to affect you. Everything happening right now on the planet is going to affect everyone, and you're going to have to choose dark or light. You're going to have to choose, like, are you going to be awake, or are you going to stay asleep?
And
So
there is consequences for our choices from a karmic point of view too. Now, what about your activation journal? Do you have the activation journals or not?
Not yet. It's not printed yet. It's in the process. I'm going through the formatting process right now, and then I'm hoping to have it printed within a couple weeks.
Okay, so
that will be available as well. And I'll also maybe I'll do a promotional video about that as well. But I'm excited about that project. But right now I'm moving on to the Brave.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, that one's done. That's what is with you. That's done. And so now it's next. So what I am going to say is I want to thank you so much. And I want to have you back whenever you want to back, say once a month, to keep us up, and then to get more people to follow you. So I'm going to ask you to send me all your little so I can put on the hashtags, how they can get a hold of you, and those ladies' names that you mentioned.
Yeah, I'll give you all their names, all the people that people should be following if they want inspiration and information on how they can stand up for themselves and speak out and take action and fight for our freedom and our future.
And so that's how you're empowering through a Zoom. This is the empowering. And I thank you so much. And there's so much love, so much blessings. And you said it's about knowledge. I think it is about knowledge, but you bring us true life experience and wisdom. Okay. And I think there's a lot of information and there's a lot of knowledge, but it's not like it's not the real, it's not the knowing. I think you understand what I mean. So for yours, it's life experiences, it's knowing, it's like, and everybody's afraid to fall down on their knees. Everybody's afraid to go through a lot of things, but there is no, and that's the whole thing, the fear. So, and where does the fear come from, and why does people have the fear? So I'm really excited when you do start doing your coaching, or you're going to do your training, or whatever you want to do. And I want to thank you. And I know everybody's going to love you. And I'm saying to everybody, please share this. I want Lani to be shared with all of your friends. Put comments there. Okay, I hope you subscribe. And best of luck and much love. And thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you very much for having me. And I would love to come back. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, I'm just going to